Good morning, Lighthouse family. Wherever you're at, whether you're in your living room, in your bedroom, or in your PJs, I hope you're doing very well. Today, I want to talk to you about the greatest gift. Isaiah chapter 9, verse 6 says, "For unto us a child is born, unto us a son is given, and the government shall be upon his shoulder, and his name shall be called Wonderful, Counselor, the Mighty God, the Everlasting Father, the Prince of Peace." It's the most wonderful time of the year where we get to spend time with family, especially those we haven't seen in a while, and also embrace the joy and warmth of togetherness. It is a period for creating new memories, reviving old traditions, and sharing stories that span generations. This season brings a unique blend of nostalgia and anticipation as we gather around festive meals, exchange thoughtful gifts, and reflect on the year that has passed while also looking forward to the new beginnings ahead. I want to share with you about a gift I got during Christmas when I was in grade 3. This was when we would sing songs about a white Christmas without even knowing what that really meant. Because in my part of Africa, where I grew up, it never snows, but hey, it was Christmas tradition to sing about a white Christmas. The season of grade 3 was a time when my peers in school and I would play a game called Police and Thieves. This game usually involved us dividing into two groups, one group being the police and the other group the thieves. The police would give the thieves about 3 minutes to hide around the school compound, and then they would go on patrol to catch them. Well, this usually involved a melee where police and thieves would kick each other, with some trying out various jumping kicks inspired by movies acted by Bruce Lee, Arnold Schwarzenegger, and Jean-Claude Van Damme that we would watch. And during that season of my life, all that we wanted as kids for gift were steel-toed boots, so we could do lots of damage when you give a cop or a thief a jump kick to his belly. Yeah. Oh, grade 3. I remember trying to drink from the same cup as the first girl I ever had a crush on. In my mind, I thought I was kind of like kissing, right? Well, during that time, I wanted a watch so bad for Christmas because most of my mates had watches, and it was something that I really longed to have. But coming from a very poor home where my family's income was less than $2 a day, that was the last thing on my family's priorities for Christmas. Christmas was usually when most parents in Ghana would use their savings to buy new clothes for their kids. And the clothes would usually purposely be for church. And so to add a watch to that burden would have been too much. That Christmas, though, my parents bit the bullet and bought me a watch. I still remember it like it was yesterday. It had red straps and the face had a white plastic cover. And I remember going back to school after the Christmas holidays. Boy, did I feel like a king. I don't remember the details, but I'm sure that I probably had more hand gestures when talking with people so that they could spot the new watch on my wrist. That watch, unfortunately, did not last a whole school week. It fell in one of our police versus thieves games, and even though I did my best to retrace my steps, it was all to no avail. I couldn't find it. And I think about it now, and even though I can afford that gift now, I can afford to buy a watch, and I currently own a watch that costs probably 10 times more than that watch did, it still stands out as the best Christmas gift my parents ever gave me. It really is, because even though it was not a necessity, my parents knew how much I really wanted one. And yes, they were barely scraping by every day, but they somehow were able to get it for me. How many years have you had to celebrate Christmas, people? And what is the best gift that you have ever received? Just think about it. Was it a watch like me? Was it some family heirloom? You know, we just got done with our Sharing Christmas event last week, and it was such an amazing experience, just seeing parents pick out gifts for their children. And you could see the gleam and appreciation in their eyes, knowing very well that come Christmas Day, there will be a very excited and happy child who cannot wait to see what mom and dad got him. I think about Christmas and how God could not wait to give his best to his children. His own creation, his very creation, who had unfortunately gone rogue. They wanted nothing to do with him. Not only that, but they were expressing it through their actions, their lives, and their worship, which were completely against him in every way. Yet that did not impede him from giving the best gift that we as his children, as his creation, could ever receive. John 3:16 says, "For this is how God loved the world. He gave his one and only Son so that everyone who believes in him will not perish, but have eternal life." Let's think about this. For the most part, you give gifts to people that you love, right? And so the reason why you're saving up money to buy gifts for people, for friends, for family, is because you love them. You probably would not buy them gift if you did not love them or have any kind of relationship with them. So in love, we see that there is an exchange that happens during gift giving. Have you ever seen a young man in love with a young lady? Oh, if he could, he would promise her the moon. That is what love can do to people. When you are in love, you want to give your best, the best version of you, the best gift. Take them to the best restaurant. And usually it is when there is no motivation to love that those actions fizzle away. And in the same way as we see in John 3:16, God's love for us, his love for his creation, his love to see them restored from the brokenness that they are afflicted with, is the reason why he gives his greatest gift that he has to offer. And that greatest gift is his Son, Jesus. And in response, the exchange that takes place as God offers us his one and only Son is that we either accept this gift or we reject it. And unfortunately, many reject this gift of love that God offers. They will celebrate the gift. They will talk about the gift. They will sing about this great gift, but they will not accept the gift. As you give Christmas gift to loved ones and family, there will be exchanges happening. These exchanges involve gifts being given back to you, the giver, or an acknowledgement of appreciation. When God gives us his gift of his one and only Son, Jesus, that thing that is so dear to him, there is an acceptance or rejection again. And when there is an acceptance, what happens is that there is an exchange or a response to that gift that happens. Our response, exchange, or action in acknowledgement of his most precious gift must be in adhering to the greatest commandment that he gives to you and I. And you know what the greatest commandment is? Jesus, the gift of God, sums it up in Matthew chapter 22, verse 37 to 39, when the Pharisees, in their attempt to trap him, asked what the greatest commandment was. So Jesus replies to them, "You must love the Lord your God with all your heart, all your soul, and all your mind. This is the first and greatest commandment. A second is equally important. Love your neighbor as yourself." The entire law and all the demands of the prophets are based on these two commandments. All the laws and demands given to God's prophets for his people in the Old Testament to follow in order to fulfill righteousness was summed up this way. And this was a 2-in-1 commandment. Love God with all your heart, all your soul, and all your mind, and then love your neighbor as yourself. Folks, this is the way we respond to God's greatest gift of all, Jesus. This is how we respond when we accept the gift of Jesus. Our response is to love him with everything that we have within us. And in so doing, we also love our neighbor. Your neighbors are the people around you, the people you work with, the people you go to school with, your family, the people around you. These are your neighbors. And in fulfilling this commandment, this will be the greatest gift we can give to God in exchange for his heart that he has poured out to us in love through the giving of his Son, Jesus. So we fulfill this commandment by not only just accepting the gift. Accepting is the first step, but we have to live in love for him. And we also have to live in love for those around us. That is how we must respond. This means being just like him, being just like our God. You cannot respond to his gift and not be like him. No, because when you accept and respond to his gift, you start to take on his character. In loving him with all your heart, all your soul, and all your mind, you give back your life by gifting to him your time, your future, your aspiration, your purpose, and even your finances. You realize that he is the reason for your being, and you don't lose anything by giving yourself to him. On the contrary, you gain so much more because he gives his all to you and I, his one and only precious gift, Jesus. Let's look at some of the greatest gifts we can give back in response to God. And the first one I want to talk about is the gift of redemption. In giving back to him by loving our neighbor as ourselves, we give the gift of redemption. The gift of redemption involves the restoration of relationships in our lives that have been broken, people that we have hurt, or people who have hurt us. Because in giving his son, our Father in heaven gave us the gift of restoration. Let's take time and look at relationships in our lives that need restoration. The ones we actually have to put in work to restore. It could be a phone call, that you have to make. Yes, that one that is lingering in your mind right now. Yep, that one. It is time to make that call. Maybe that apology that you have been withholding. This is the time to make that apology. This is the season for it. It could be the greatest gift you can ever give to somebody today. Or maybe the person has apologized to you, but you are still hurt and you continue to hold on to it. Friends, it is time to reach out and offer them the same mercy that God offers to us in this wonderful time of the year. Redeem that relationship. Maybe during the time of COVID, or even during the last political season, you're both on different ends of the spectrum. It is time to lay down the battle weapons. Put down your sword. Extend an olive branch as you seek to love your Father in heaven with all your heart and to love the people around you. The next gift that I want to talk about is the gift of presence. Emmanuel, God with us. This signifies the presence of God and also his willingness to communicate with us. In this time of social media and just so much general distraction of technology, it is easy to be around but not present. In this season, it is time to reevaluate what it really means to be present. What does it mean to actually be present? Just so you can give more of your presence to those who really matter. Your family, your wife, your husband, your children, your loved ones, your brother, your sister, and even your grandchildren. This is the season to give them the gift of presence. This may be the greatest gift you can give to those who love you. Being thousands of miles away from my parents, I do go through times when I crave their presence, especially during this season. There's nothing more than giving the gift of your presence to those who matter. Every second, every minute, every hour, every day, and all the years that you accumulate from focusing on work, on business, on various distractions, especially the good old phone. Yep, that one. It is time that you will not get to spend with the people that you must spend with. That is time that goes away and you will never get back. Every second of time that goes by is an opportunity for memories that can be made. Because one day, when your physical body does not have the capacity that it has today, all that you will be left with are memories. Seize the opportunity to be present so you can make good memories with the ones who matter. According to studies, the average person will end up spending over 5 years of their life on social media. And this is just social media, and it does not factor in all the hours that will be spent on other forms of entertainment on our phones and television. This is not only time we could have spent with family, but also time we could have spent with our Father in heaven, who gave us the greatest gift of all, that is the gift of Jesus. And in giving us the gift of Jesus, he gave us his presence. He gives us his Holy Spirit. How are you blessing God with your presence? Do we make time to be in his presence, or are we just too busy with life to even factor him into our time? There are so many good gifts we can give back. But the final one I want to talk about is the gift of selflessness. This is where we say to one another, you first. Unfortunately, our culture has made us believe that we are the center of the universe. And folks, there's nothing wrong with coming to the realization that you are very special. You are. In fact, you're not only unique, but you're also God's masterpiece that he has created for his glory. The Bible says that you're fearfully and wonderfully made. But the problem remains when all that we do is think of ourselves as above or better than others. We become closed off to others, and that ends up impeding us from even wanting to stoop down to serve one another. The best Christmas gift of all, our Christmas gift, Jesus, represents selflessness. That God who wields everlasting power would stoop so low as to be born in a manger. A manger in Bible time was probably made from clay mixed with straw or from stones that were held together with mud. I know, very quite different from the cute mangers we used to represent his birth, right? Very different. God himself left all power and took on the embodiment of servitude for you and I. Let's listen to what Mark chapter 10, verse 45 has to say about this. For even the Son of Man came not to be served, but to serve others and to give his life as a ransom for many. We see this again in Philippians chapter 2, verse 6 to 7. Though he was God, he did not think of equality with God as something to cling to. Instead, he gave up his divine privileges. He took the humble position of a slave and was born as a human being. And when he appeared in human form, he humbled himself in obedience to God. In this way, he offered us the gift of selflessness. In this season, how are you going to offer to people around you the gift of selflessness? Not only was God selfless in giving his best to us, but we see the gift of God, Jesus himself, being selfless in everything. What are we going to give back in exchange? In other words, how are you going to serve others? Matthew chapter 20, verse 25 to 28 says, but Jesus calls them together, and these are his disciples. And Jesus says, the rulers in this world lord it over their people, and the officials flaunt their authority over those under them. But among you, it will be different. Whoever wants to be a leader among you must be your servant, and whoever wants to be first among you must become your slave. For even the Son of Man came not to be served, but to serve others and to give his life as a ransom for many. Jesus calls us to be different. Different not just in this season of joy, hope, and love, but he calls us to be humble, just like him, in every way and every time. He calls us to serve like him because that is one of the best gifts we can ever give to one another. As I come to the end of this sermon, I want to ask you, what are you going to give to God that you are holding back on in this season? What are you going to give to your family in this season, beside all the amazing, beautiful gifts that you have wrapped up? For some of you, it could be the gift of your time. How much time are you spending with your family? This really hits home for me as I strive to balance ministry and time with family. In many homes, the noise of silence has slowly caused them to become strangers. What are you going to do about that? What about the gift of giving your life and your future to God? Don't become master of your fate. Give God your lifetime, because if you give him your destiny, he would take care of you and he won't let you down. Friends, God has given us the greatest gift of all, the gift of himself. What will we do in response? And what will we give in exchange? Take time to think through this as you look for opportunities that God is presenting to you to give the gift of love, the gift of self, the gift of redemption, and the gift of presence, and even the gift of communication. May God be with you, and a very Merry Christmas from me, from Cassie, our kids, and the leadership here at Lighthouse. God bless you and stay blessed.